As you can see here, I have graphed and georeferenced to the state as well as provincial level the crop acres harvested for 2012. I'm just going to go through Canada here quickly. Ontario, we have about 2.2 million acres of grain corn, about 300,000 acres of silage, so about 2.5 million. I know in the U.S. they don't actually list silage acres, so they just list corn acres. So we'll try to kind of differentiate that. Next is Quebec with 1 million acres, mostly grown along the St. Lawrence Seaway here and the eastern townships here as well of Quebec. Actually one of the hot spots actually for corn production, maybe even in North America here, I would suggest, is the double-digit growth that has been coming out of Manitoba in the last couple of years. Right now they're at 365,000 acres. I know that doesn't seem like much, but if we could get into really good producing 68-day corn, or about 1,900 heat units in the Canadian heat unit system, there is suggestion that we could have 8 to 10 million acres a year planted out here in the western provinces. I'm not sure if that's possible to keep those yields stable. Right now, last year Manitoba had 121 bushel per acre average, and some of their yield contests, they've been easily able to get into the 200, 220 bushel range. So there is some potential there. There is some suggestion that we could get into as much as 26 million acres here in the western provinces. I'm not sure if that's possible. Like I say, without irrigation and certainly the genetics to back that up, obviously, is the key. Right now, crop insurance covers corn grown about 97 kilometers, so about 50 to 60 miles north of the border here, and that would be about right where Winnipeg is. So the Trans-Canada Highway runs right across there. So basically anything south of Trans-Canada Highway there is basically covered by crop insurance currently. So I mean, to put that in perspective, if we could get 10 million acres out of Manitoba, and currently we have about 3.6 million acres grown in Canada, I mean, we could rival what Nebraska is at right about now, or maybe even Illinois. Not holding my breath, but you know, person can dream. Anyhow, we're going to spin around here and take a look at some different perspectives here. Like I said, this is 2012 harvested acres, and this information is from the USDA. And in terms of the Canadian information, I had to use a few different sources there. So we'll just show you this, and then we'll show you a couple other data sets just to take a look at where the corn acres have been coming from. And since about 2003 to about 2012 is what I have graphed. But first here, we'll just go through the top 10 here. I mean, obviously Iowa here, just under 14 million acres harvested. They've been over 14 million, I think, once, but I can't remember when. And that's about 20% of the total production. So certainly a very important state in terms of corn production. So next is Illinois, 12 million acres, that's about 17%. Number 3 is Nebraska, about 9 million acres, and about 11% there. Next would be Minnesota here, 8.3 million acres, and that's about 10%. And next is Indiana with 6 million acres, and that's about 8%. So the next 5 basically are 4% of the production each. So number 6 would be South Dakota, and it's had some nice growth here, 5.3 million acres. Next would be Kansas, 3.9 million acres, and then next would be Ohio, 3.6, which is close to what Canada is right now. And then number 9 would be Wisconsin, and then Missouri actually would be number 10, 3.3 million. So certainly you can see where the big acres are. I think most people know where most of those are. So now we're just going to look at the 9-year average here, and I'm just going to stop here and kind of show you the growth here in the south has been pretty flat. These are the corn acres from 2003 and up to 2012. So you can see it's been kind of flat here in the south. I mean, it's certainly drought-prone land that gets pretty hot during pollination, so it makes it hard to produce profitable crops. So certainly they utilize some other crops to on their lands. So I'm just going to pull in here a little. You can see here obviously what sticks out right there in the middle is Iowa and Illinois right to its right there. But you can see that there hasn't been a lot of growth. I mean, there's been a good bit, but you know, no one's really sticking out here. I guess Missouri's kind of come up a little bit. And here you can see this big jump, and everyone here is the 2007, which is when the ethanol mandate came in, and that's certainly when the big acres really popped out. But other than that, I mean, you can kind of see that the acres have kind of been not really jumping out in most consistency places, but I mean, there has been some growth in these big acreage areas. I mean, and of note here, Illinois, you can see has been trending off. There is some thinking that corn on corn acres, the yields from those acres have been falling off, so farmers have been trying to rotate into some other crops here. So it certainly is where some of the acreage is coming from, but I'm not sure how many acres are actually corn on corn, but it's certainly an interesting part of the production. I've heard as much as 20% of the acres are corn on corn in the US. I'm not sure if that's totally right, but certainly where some of the corn acres are coming from, but we'll have to see in the future. I'd love to look at that data set like that, but we're just going to spin around here and actually look at where some significant growth has actually occurred. Now, these aren't big acreage areas, so it doesn't make a big significant impact on things, but it has been growing quite substantially here. So we'll just spin around here, and obviously we're looking at North and South Dakota as well as Minnesota here, and we'll just kind of stop right there. Maybe we'll pull in a little bit here just to give it a little bit better perspective. So you can kind of see there has been some pretty good growth here. Back in 2003, 1.1 million acres, and then the 2007 here they jumped up a few 100,000 acres here, 2.3, and then last year hit 3.4 million. So certainly some significant jump. That was a 52% jump here. So certainly some growth in these areas. I think part of it is ethanol, and being able to get on the ground early also helped put some extra corn acres in, but I'm sure the big high price for corn also helped out significantly. So so you can kind of see that most of the corn acres actually have been coming out of the traditional corn growing areas, and so it's really not a really jump out. It's more or less just a little more acres than everywhere else, and certainly some hot spots here in the upper Midwest, and I guess you could say this is getting into the upper plain type areas, but that's basically where it comes from. We'll just spin over here, and we'll actually look at Canada, just at Ontario here, just to show you kind of how close it is here to Michigan. Michigan in 2003 was at 2 million acres, and we were at 2 million acres as well. Now that doesn't include silage here. I actually took the silage out here, and well, actually I did keep the silage in, excuse me. So yeah, so you can see the growth has been very similar to Michigan, so from that standpoint. So that's about it, and hopefully you enjoy this. And I also did one on Canada at the county level, so if you want to take a